up everyone? Welcome back to Cooking with Kiki, and today we're making tarte à l'oignon, which is basically an onion tart, and it's something that I always loved growing up because my mom would make it when we would have like parties at home, so that was always something I look forward to. So now we're starting with just 2.5 cups of flour, and we're gonna sift it. Make sure you get all the flour out, as well as a tablespoon of sugar and a tablespoon of salt. I'm using brown sugar today just because brown sugar will just help the browning of everything better. Actually, I'm not even sure if they're gonna go through the holes in the thing, but if you see them, we'll just dump them out. Yeah, it's not gonna go through. Should have thought of that. Just because it's so coarse and raw. I'm just gonna grab these little pieces of flour that we don't want, and then boop, there goes the sugar. So now that all of that is incorporated, we're just gonna make sure to. Now we're gonna add 2 sticks of butter, and make sure that your butter is cold. And we're just gonna work that in until it makes light crumbles into the dough. So you can use a food processor for this part. So basically we just want the flour to be small little, we don't want it to be completely melted into there, but just incorporated. And once that's fully incorporated, we're gonna take 8 spoonfuls of ice cold water and add in there. So I'm just gonna do this off camera, and I'm gonna show you the final results soon. Okay, so we got all our dough and we've separated them into 2 balls. Make sure not to overwork your dough, because if you do, it's going to make for a harder dough. So we're gonna let these rest for up to 2 hours, an hour minimum. You can put them in the fridge if you want to use them for the next day. But if you just are not sure when you're gonna use them, they can stay in the freezer for up to 3 months. So I'm gonna go put them in the hit my light, and I'm gonna go put them in the fridge, and I'm gonna show you how you make the thing. Welcome back, guys. So I showed you guys how to do the dough. Now I'm gonna show you how to do the filling to put in the dough. So you have a ready hot pan here. I have it on medium high heat. You're gonna do 2 tablespoons of oil and 1 tablespoon of butter. The oil is just so we can ensure that the butter doesn't burn, because if we were just to put butter, by the time everything would heat up, the butter would burn already, and you don't want burnt butter into your dish. Now that we have that in there, you let it, do its thing, melt and melt. You're gonna take 3 onions. I use white onions just because I feel like there's a little bit more sweetness to them. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna lower the heat now and put it in a medium-low heat, and you're just gonna let these caramelize. So we're just gonna come here and check on them a little bit, but they're gonna be on low heat and they're gonna be cooked for 35 minutes. So just make sure that all of them are a little bit coated. Onions are cooking. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna roll out the dough. So you're gonna take your dough out the fridge, and depending if you put it in the fridge or freezer, you're gonna let it out and let it get to room temperature. It's gonna take about 15 minutes, and if it's not at room temperature at 15 minutes more until you get it right. So a little trick that I learned was that you take the dough and you kind of pat it down to the shape of what you're using, and we're gonna use a little square. You're gonna roll it out. So I know a lot of my college kids don't have a rolling pin, but I do know you have wine. So what I recommend doing, instead of going out and buying a rolling pin, is you take your wine bottle, sanitize it, take all the gummy paper out, and then you take a little flour, just put that all over, and then you use it as your rolling pin. We're gonna roll this until and if it gets sticky, that's okay. That's just a sign for us to put a little bit more flour either on the surface or on the actual bottle itself. And you see, stickiness fixed. And I like just turning it a little quarter. gonna show you how it looks like once we roll it all out. So, okay, now we have our pie dough into, our pie dough into our dish. So we had a little bit issues. I was working next to the oven because I have a small cooking space plus the little lights, so it kind of was a little bit more difficult to work with. That's why I told you guys to work fast, because you don't want the dough to become too hot, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be the cutest. What matters, like pie, like people, what matters is what's on the inside. And even if it's not the cutest, you can always slice it up, present it as rustic. Kiki tip of the day: if something's not that cute, call it rustic. Plus our onions are out here doing its thing. I wish you guys had smell-o-vision, because I love this. And you see that they're kind of getting translucent, a little soft. We still have a little ways to go, but they are on their way. So now I'm going to tell you what we're going to do with the dough. We're going to par bake it. So par baking is like when you cook it a little bit before you put the filling in. So you're going to take your pie dough, put some aluminum paper, and then you're gonna put beans to weigh it down. That way everything stays down and not puffy. So this is gonna allow the dough to bake, but it's still gonna be a little bit blonde because everything is covering it and be beautiful. So to do this, we put the oven at 350, and you're gonna put this little bad boy in the oven for 35 to 40 minutes. Okay, see you then. Now, this is part of the filling as well. We're gonna make a bechamel sauce or a white sauce. It's one of the 5 mother sauces. It's a sauce that's the base of a lot of cooking, so you're gonna need to know this. So you're gonna start with equal parts butter and equal parts flour. So now I have 2 tablespoons of butter. We're gonna let that melt a little bit, and then when it's finished melting, we're going to add our 2 tablespoons of flour. Just moving around. I don't think it does much, but I feel like it helps it melt faster. That's just me. While this is melting, check out our onions. It looks so good. They're starting to caramelize nicely. Oh, again, I wish you guys could, like, I used to hate onions growing up, and now I just have to put them in everything. So back to me. We're here. That's finished melting. Well, up until I'm waiting to wait, and you add the 2. So this is also the start of a roux, depending on what color you want it to be. So you cook it like this, it's gonna be a blonde roux, and if you want like a darker roux for like gravy and whatnot, you just let this like cook until it's a darker brown color. So there's 3 different roux. So now that we're doing this, we're going to add some salt, some nutmeg, we're adding the nutmeg and the milk. So we're gonna add about 2 cups of milk. And you're gonna let that cook for a little bit until it thickens up. So you just let the that cook until like you cook out the flour a little bit, and then we're gonna come back and add some Parmesan. So I will let you see what that looks like afterwards. So this is the consistency you want it. You don't want it to be too thick because we're going to add the cheese. Now the moment we're adding a 1/4 cup of cheese, and now that you're adding the cheese, it's no longer a white sauce or a bechamel sauce. It's now a sauce mornay, because you know we teach you how to cook in the history of cooking with Kiki. And we're gonna add a cup of cheese because I like cheese, and that's why we didn't add that much salt, because it's gonna be salty from the cheese, and we're gonna retain this much cheese to put on top of the. See how already it's thickening up. And now that that's doing that, we're going to add it to our beautiful caramelized onions. So that, and we're just going to mix it all up. Everybody get introduced with each other. Hi onion, this is bechamel. Bechamel, this is onion. You're gonna be great friends. It's gonna be fun. So you just do that until everyone is friendly and incorporated. So I just took the pie out of the oven and we're going to see the grand reveal. So, oh, perfect! It's so beautiful. And you can see the butter has melted. So these beans, these gotta be our baking beans, and we're gonna put them in a separate bag or a jar, whatever you feel. Label them baking beans. So next time you need to do this again, you can just reuse the beans. So we're taking our little bechamel sauce. We're going to just scoop that in. Be careful, and it's hot. Just spread it a little bit. I made a mess. I made a boo-boo. But you know, it's worth it because when I tell you this is one of my favorite dishes, like on earth. Like, you can ask my best friend Sophia. I've been telling her that I've been craving this for like the longest, and now that I'm making it, I can't wait. Ugh, it's gonna be great. Getting every last drop, and now make sure that everything is going. It goes to all the corners, and we're going to take our cheese and just sprinkle it on top. But add a little bit of cracked black pepper. And a little bit of grounded nutmeg and cinnamon, just because nutmeg brings out the cheesy flavor. And not too much, just a little bit. Actually, we'll just add nutmeg. And we're gonna put that in the oven, back to 350 for 21 minutes. Okay, guys, I just took the pie out of the oven, or the tart. There's a difference between pie and tart. What it is exactly, I'm not sure. I'll let y'all know. But I know there is one. It is still bubbling. As much as you want to, do not cut it open now unless you want like oniony goodness to just ooze out of it. So we're just gonna let it rest for a while, and we added a little fresh parsley just because you know the cool. And we're going to cut it up, and we're gonna let it rest for 10 minutes before cutting up, and I'll show you what the slice looks like. Oh, I can't wait. Look how pretty.